Hello, grade 8 students. In this presentation, we are going to differentiate between the red blood cells and the white blood cells. We're going to identify the cells involved in immunity, and we're going to determine the different primary immune organs and the different secondary immune organs. Let's start with this activity 2, immune cells. Blood. First of all, you have to know that blood flows everywhere inside our body. We cannot live without it. The heart pumps all the blood to all our body cells, supplying them with oxygen and food. Blood also carries proteins and cell fragments. It's very important to know they are called platelets. These platelets, they let the blood clot where there has been an injury. Now let's move to differentiate between the different types of blood cells. We have two types of cells. The one is the red blood cells, two is the white blood cells. Red blood cells, they are called erythrocytes, while white blood cells, they are called leukocytes. Red blood cells, they are small in size, many in number, while white blood cells, they are large in size, few in number. Red blood cells, they have red color, while white blood cells, they are not red in color. That doesn't mean they are only white, but they are not red in color, they have different colors. Red blood cells, they are anucleated, meaning that they don't have nucleus, while the white blood cells, they are nucleated cells, meaning that they have nucleus. The role of red blood cells is to transport oxygen and carbon dioxide, while that of white blood cells is to defend the body. They are immune cells. This is a figure about the blood vessels where we have red blood cell, we have white blood cells, and we have the cell fragments that are called platelets. This figure under the microscope showing red blood cells, they are about 5 to 6 million cells per milliliters. White blood cells, they are about 5,000 cells per milliliter. So red blood cells, they are more in number. This figure showing some of the white blood cells. We're going to discover them in the coming slides. Also, there's some figures showing the different types of blood cells. First, the cells involved in immunity. If you see here, this figure, it looks like a horseshoe-shaped nucleus. This is one of the cells that are involved in immunity. They are called monocytes. So, monocytes, to start with, they have horseshoe-shaped nucleus, look like the horseshoe. They have a cytoplasmic membrane. Monocytes, they are large in size. They have a horseshoe-shaped nucleus. They flow in blood vessels. They can cross the capillary wall, and they have maturation into a macrophage, and their role is phagocytosis, meaning that eating other cells. Other type of cells that are involved in immunity, they are called the granulocytes. Granulocytes, they have an important role in immunity. They have multi-lobed nucleus where they have granules in the cytoplasm. On this, they have the name granules, and they have large in size, multi-lobed nucleus. As we said, this is the multi-lobed nucleus. Granules in the cytoplasm. They can flow in blood vessels. They can cross the capillary walls, and they have a role in phagocytosis, meaning that eating other cells. Other types of cells involved in immunity, they are the B lymphocytes. B lymphocytes, first we have B and T lymphocytes. Let's start with the B lymphocytes. B lymphocytes, they are large in size, have large round nucleus as seen here. This is a large round nucleus. They have a small cytoplasm. They have a role to secrete or produce antibodies to kill the non-self. B lymphocytes, this is the labeling of the figure of the B lymphocytes, you have to know it, you have to label it, you have to draw it inside a box, and you have to give it a title. Here we have large round nucleus, small cytoplasm. These the Y-shaped structures, like this, Y-shaped structures, you are called antibodies. Moving to the T lymphocytes, also as you see here, we have common property. They have large grounded nucleus, they have large inside, they have a small cytoplasm. Their role is to kill other cells using their T cell receptors, TCR, to kill the non-cell. So this is the figure, labeled figure of T lymphocytes. They have T cell receptors, these are the TCR. They have a small cytoplasm, large rounded nucleus, and they have a cytoplasmic membrane. Molecules involved in immunity, they are the antibodies. As we said, they are the Y-shaped structures or Y-shaped proteins. They have a role in secretion by the B lymphocytes in the blood. Antibodies, they are very specific, where every antibody can bind a specific antigen, which is a non-self antigen. This is the figure showing the antibodies binding to their antigen. Everyone is specific. Triangular is specific to the triangular, rectangular is specific, circular is specific. For example, this for simplification. Here the big question is, what are the organs of production and the organs of maturation of these immune cells? What the meaning of bone marrow? What the meaning of a thymus? Let's start first with the immune organs. Immune organs, we have primary immune organs, secondary immune organs. Primary immune organs, they are the organs of production and maturation of immune cells. Why? Secondary, they are the sites of the immune response. Immune organs, as I said, primary and secondary. Primary organs, they are bone marrow and the thymus. Secondary immune organs, they are the lymph nodes and the spleen. Bone marrow, production of all immune cells and maturation of only B lymphocytes, while thymus, maturation of only T lymphocytes. So bone marrow produce B and T, and only maturation of B occurs in the bone marrow, while in the thymus, maturation of only T lymphocytes. In the lymph nodes, immune response against tissue infection, while at the level of the spleen, immune response against blood infection. So here we differentiate between the different white blood cells, red blood cells, the cells involving immunity, and the different immune organs, primary and secondary.